Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Starting with the name of Allah, the Merciful, the Beneficent. As we are going along with the applied aspects of epidemiology, and we have seen that the data regarding morbidity and mortality. Regarding morbidity, its rate, ratio, proportion, and of course the prevalence is helpful to study the area and to study the population and to go for the application of that knowledge, that data towards the improvement of health or the health planning. Now, then we saw the mortality information from the mortality data. We saw that we can obviously we can get the data regarding mortality as far as descriptive epidemiology is concerned. In descriptive epidemiology, we can just collect the knowledge, we can collect the data, we can collect the information about the population, and we are in a position to prepare a hypothesis for the further studies and further planning for the community. We saw that as far as the mortality data is concerned, obviously, first of all, we need the crude death rate, and obviously the crude death rate, the specific death rates, the case fatality proportions, regarding the specific population in the specific groups. Then we saw the proportional mortality rate. Then we saw survival rate. Of course, we knew how many people survived from a disease in a specific or the stipulated or allocated or observed time. And then we saw the adjusted or the standardized death rates there, because sometimes the population in the study may be very small, or maybe the group is exposed to certain specific factors. Then we need to have certain adjusted or standardized death rates, and for the adjusted or standardized death rate we have two methods. One is a direct adjustment, through which we have to compare the one population with another, and considering the population A as the standard population, the bigger population or the population of the developed countries, and looking for the adjusted rate of the population 2. Secondly, we can get this direct adjustment, and then we can get indirect adjustment through certain informations, through certain other knowledges. We can get the indirect adjustment of the rate. After knowing all this, then we obviously compare the indicators, and then we see the formulation of the hypothesis, which is actually the essence of the descriptive type of epidemiology. We start the research, we start knowing about the population by preparing a synopsis or hypothesis regarding a population. Then the uses of the epidemiology, descriptive epidemiology uses, obviously, one is obviously we all know that it provides us a hypothesis or the clues to the disease etiology, and then obviously data regarding the magnitude of the disease load and the types of the disease problem prevailing in a specific community. Then obviously is the background knowledge data for the planning, organizing, evaluating preventive and curative services, contributes towards the further field studies and research. We all know there is the case report for a single patient or a single case where unusual presentation of the disease is there. So the case report is there, or unusual, the rare disease, or I can say the obsolete disease is there. Then obviously it is an epidemic, so obviously the case reporting is to be there. Then is the case series, where a number of cases are there in different presentation, cases with a different presentation, or cases with the unusual disease, like say for example polio, or somebody says that smallpox cases are appearing in the society or in the community. Then it's 1, 2, 3, 4. Then it's a case series. In case report is one patient. In case series, individuals, collection of individuals, obviously, which present unusual disease, which present the disease in unusual ways. Then is obviously subject selection. We have the investigator select individuals with new diseases or unusual presentation of the known disease. We select. Then obviously the advantages of descriptive epidemiology, the advantages, the disadvantage obviously is just obviously there is no statistical figures. It's just a theory, and we reach the hypothesis. We do not reach the conclusion. Then is the ecological studies. In ecological studies of the descriptive type or correlational or ecological studies, we see a population and not an individual. So sometimes a specific population having certain specific activities, certain specific specifications, we cannot reach a conclusion. So those studies look for association between the exposure and the outcomes in population, but not the individuals. It's a whole of the society. Ecological studies are again important, but all aggregate statistics are subject to compositional effects, and those are, if weakened, obviously the awkward situation comes, the weakness or the disadvantage is there of the ecological fallacy, which is obviously studying a group, or studying a village, or studying in a cluster. There is obviously the advantages with the ecological studies, obviously inexpensive, quick, and we all know that we have reached certain conclusion. Obviously we can reach certain starting point. Then is after knowing ecological fallacy, now we are in a position to go for the cross-sectional, or the study, or the survey, or the prevalence study, or the knowledge through cross-section of the society, of the community, or of the family, of the locality, of a union council. We see, again, it's a descriptive type of study. We all know it is a descriptive study, and it's a cross-sectional or the prevalent study, or the survey regarding a community, which is more reliable than ecological study or case reporting or case series. So we can say the prevalence study or the survey is actually the essence or the backbone of our research, and that actually helps us to guide as well for the analytical study, and of course to give us a direction for the project designing. So by definition is the simplest form of observational study. Descriptive, further types, observational. So observational study based on a single examination of a cross section of a defined population. Single examination of a cross section of a defined population at a single point in time or over a short period of time. And that is where the problem is. We observe the population or the section of a population or sample of the population at a specific time. It's a specific time or a very short period of time. So maybe we are not in a position to study or to follow the result of certain specific indicators or specific causative factors. So sometimes the factors causing the disease may not be specified correctly through this type of survey, but it's still a wonderful type of a survey research, a wonderful type of study which guides us for the analytical research. Then is obviously those studies provide a snapshot of the frequency of a disease or the other health related characteristics in a population at a given point in time, the results of which can be projected on the whole population provided the sampling has been done correctly. So where we are concerned, two things. One is the sample from the population, from the whole population, maybe from Multan, from Lahore, from Karachi. The selected sample was not a biased one, but was not a sort of a simple, easy one, biased one, or maybe a certain specific group, specific subgroup. It was a cosmopolitan, or it was a mixed type of a sample. And secondly, it is on a specific point. In a specific point. So two things are repeatedly stressing. It is on at a given point in time, and obviously projected on the whole population provided the sampling has been done correctly. So the cross-sectional study tends to assess the presence, prevalence of the health outcome at that point of time without regards of the duration. So those studies are used to assess the burden of disease or health needs of a population, and are particularly useful in informing the planning and allocation of the health resources. If we know the burden of the disease, or we know the severity of the disease, or we know the population involved, that is the burden of the disease, and then of course the health needs for the improvement of the population, of health status, improvement of the health status of the population, and are particularly useful in informing the planning commission or the allocation, ourselves making the allocation of the health resources, the finances, the equipment, the technical skills. All those things can be provided when we know the strength of the disease in a specific population, or we know the say for example the nutritional status, the health status of the population, and the needs of the population. and that is known through such type of a cross-sectional study, prevalence study, or the surveys. The types of the cross-sectional studies, obviously, first of all, the descriptive is our cross-sectional study. So a cross-sectional survey may be purely descriptive and used to assess the burden of a particular disease through information, through collecting information. No treatment, no invasive procedure, no laboratory test, nothing is done. Only the descriptive information is gathered, and obviously the burden of disease of a particular disease is analyzed, is defined through a specific defined population. Then is obviously, for example, a random sample of the schools may be used to assess the prevalence of asthma among 12 to 16 years old 16-year-old school going boys. So it's a very good example. We collect some of the school, we select for some of the schools, then we select some of the students from that school, and then we try to describe through descriptive cross-sectional study a random sample or the simple sample or the random sample, through a random sample or simple sample, how many children suffer from asthma among the school going boys of the age of 12 to 16 years, and we assess the prevalence of the asthma through this method. So it's quite clear, descriptive type of information, random sampling is done, simple sampling is done, but still we are in a position to see that how many students or how many school going children suffer from asthma through this knowledge. Then is the analytical, obviously the analytical cross-sectional surveys may also be used to investigate the association between a putative or the comprehensive competitive risk factor and a health outcome. So if we know a risk factor, then we can find the outcome of the health status of the community or the outcome of the disease. So analytical cross-sectional surveys may also be used to investigate the association between the putative risk factor and a health outcome. However, this type of study is limited in its ability to draw valid conclusions as to assess the association between risk factor and the health outcome. And why it is limited? Because obviously selected people, selected population, and maybe the biased sampling. Then is in a cross-sectional survey, the risk factors and the outcomes are measured simultaneously, and therefore it may be difficult to determine whether the exposure preceded or followed the disease. That is where the problem is. We are not in a position to realize at what time, at what strength, at what factor the risk factor started, the causative agent entered the society, the risk factor came, and the outcome of the disease is there. But what we see is that we see the risk factor and we see the strength of the disease in a community, or the outcome of the problem in a community. So that is where the problem is. So the example is the examination carried out for the prevalence of chronic heart disease and the level of cholesterol at the same time. Again, the same thing. Now we have selected certain patients for the study, and we see their serum cholesterol level at the same visit. When we see their chronic, there is changes in ECG as far as the chronic heart disease is concerned. Now we are not in a position to see that the serum cholesterol level, for how much time it remains elevated, and whether it's a new finding or it's just remained elevated for a couple of years, or for 5 years, or for a decade. Just we pick up the patients having chronic heart disease and see their serum level of cholesterol, and just we try to realize that there is association between chronic heart disease or not. So the fact that with the chronic heart disease had a higher mean cholesterol level than those without chronic heart disease does not necessarily lead to the conclusion that elevated serum level of cholesterol increases the risk of chronic heart disease. So this may well be so, but if it is only by demonstrating increased chronic heart disease in people with previously elevated cholesterol level, that a causal inference about the relationship may be drawn. But still, allegation is the same, because in all the patients having elevated serum cholesterol level, if we find chronic heart disease, this may well be the reason. And if we observe those patients whose cholesterol level starts increasing, and now we follow them in another study, which is a prospective type of study, a follow-up of the study or cohort study, then we will be in a position to realize that whether the elevated level of cholesterol has caused the disease. But in cross-sectional descriptive type of studies, analysis can be made, analytical study can be made. We pick up the patient with chronic heart disease. We analyze, we obviously check their elevated level of cholesterol. Those are elevated, but still we cannot draw a line that every patient who has got elevated level of cholesterol develops chronic heart disease. So as the presence or absence of both exposure and the disease was determined at the same time in each subject in the study, it is often not possible to establish a temporal, a permanent, a definitive, a recordable, a declarable, or we can say fightable, convinceable, or say for example established relationship between the exposure and the onset of the disease. So thus the cross-sectional surveys, while easy and rapid to accomplish, do not establish a temporal sequence of events necessary for drawing causal inferences and cannot calculate the incidence. So we can say we have the knowledge, we have the study, but still we cannot establish the fact that maybe it is a fact that the elevated level of cholesterol leads to chronic heart disease. So what this analytical study helps us, let us see. Now the type of the descriptive study, descriptive epidemiology, analytical study. In analytical study, CAP, knowledge, attitude, practice study is one of the examples of cross-sectional studies. Obviously this is where we make all the research to the undergraduates, and maybe we also put you to the study of the CAP because this does not put a financial burden on the students. And in this study, obviously we see the knowledge of the respondent, the attitude, the beliefs, his own wills, his own idea about the problem, and of course the practice, what has been practiced. So CAP study has been very, very much directive, very much informational, very much helpful as far as the analytical, the cross-sectional surveys of the society, of the population is concerned. Knowledge, attitude, practice study is one of the examples of cross-sectional studies. What is the knowledge with the respondent? What is his belief? How he thinks about the disease, whether smoking is definitely the cause of lung cancer or not, and of course practice, whether he is a smoker or not. So CAP study. CAP survey tells us what people know about certain things, how they feel and how they behave. CAP. Knowledge, what they know about certain things. Attitude, how they feel, and of course practice, how they behave. So each study is designed for a specific setting and issue. CAP studies bring to light the social, cultural and economical factors that may influence the health and implementation of the public health initiatives. There is increasing recognition that improving the health of people across the world depends upon adequate understanding of socio-cultural and economic aspects of the context in which public health problems are implemented. Such information is typically gathered through various types of cross-sectional surveys, the most popular, widely used being the knowledge, attitude and practice CAP surveys, which help us to know the definitive status of the population in the country. CAP surveys and public health, obviously the CAP survey data are essential for informing public health work. For example, with regard to tuberculosis, a CAP survey can gather information about the respondents respondents know how about the tuberculosis, what they think about the people who have tuberculosis, and of course the health system response to the tuberculosis, what care someone with tuberculosis should seek. Three things. One is what is the knowledge of the people, what they know about the tuberculosis, how it is conveyed, and how many people are suffering, and it's a very much painful disease or not. Secondly, obviously, what they think about the people who have got tuberculosis, and of course the health system response to tuberculosis and the people's response to tuberculosis, what care someone with tuberculosis should seek. So CAP surveys are very, very much helpful for identifying knowledge gaps, cultural beliefs and to create a barrier to tuberculosis and other public health efforts or problems. In addition, the data collected from CAP surveys enable program managers to set tuberculosis priorities, to establish baseline levels, and to measure change from interventions. CAP surveys have also been used to assess and improve the condition of reproductive health and other issues of public health importance in developing countries. Those are very, very much helpful, and those have helped us. Obviously, the leading health diseases, the leading health problems, of course, then reproductive health, and of course, the other issues of health importance are the nutrition and other health status, and of course, vaccination. Those are very, very much important, and CAP studies has been helpful in improving those status or planning designs for the health plans or health programs for the improvement of health status and health and immunity status of the community. Then is obviously the alternative to the CAP studies and the public health. Obviously, the alternatives to the CAP studies, the CAP surveys can be useful when research plan is to obtain general information about public health knowledge and sociological variables. The alternatives, however, if the objective is to study health-seeking knowledge, attitude, and practice in context, there are suitable ethnographic methods available, including focus group discussions. If we obviously go for the CAP studies and public health information, then if the conservative style or the primitive style of collecting knowledge, attitude, practice in context of the questionnaire or other ways, then there are suitable ethnographic methods available which are alternatives to the CAP studies, alternative to the such type of surveys, including focus group discussions, in-depth interviews, participant observation, and various participatory methods. So not only is that the questionnaire or the straightforward questions from the people will be helpful for the such type of cross-sectional studies and the CAP surveys or the public health improvement of public health programs. It will also be through group discussions, in-depth interviews, participant observations, and of course participatory methods which will be helpful for such type of surveys. Summary of the descriptive studies. Obviously, in summary, we know what are the subjects, characteristics, time factor, cost, and measure of the disease and frequency and its factors. Then obviously 4 things I have tabulated: case reports 1, case series 2, case reports 1, case series 2, cross-sectional studies, and ecological studies. In case reports, obviously one case has been reported which presents with a unusual presentation of a disease. In case series, different cases are reported which actually different case reports, more than one case reports have been put up of different patients which present unusually in certain disease or present for certain obsolete disease, for example polio or smallpox. Then obviously the cross-sectional studies, that the CAP studies or whatever alternative studies for descriptive knowledge. Then is the ecological studies or a group discussion, group study of a village, which is for the specific group or aggregate of the individual for the knowledge of public health. So if we just analyze compare the different type of studies. So first of all, case report is a single report. Group, exact number of cases can vary, or number of patients can vary, or sample can vary, sample size can vary. Then is obviously cross-sectional study, which is actually the descriptive type of study, all the descriptive type of studies. So several subjects assessed individually, and obviously the total result is compiled and total data is collected, and which actually gives us an initial line for the hypothesis or the starting line for the analytical research. Then obviously the ecological studies obviously is for a group study over a group, aggregate group of individuals, a cluster, a village, a sort of a community, a sort of a population is studied, and obviously the study is made. Then the characteristic obviously describes unusual feature of a case. Obviously a case is selected, a patient is selected which presents unusual feature of a disease. The case series, different case reports collected in a sequence, different case reports in a sequence. Case series, a group of unusual cases, no control group. Obviously the unusual presentation of a disease in a group, obviously that is there. Then the cross-sectional studies, obviously point in time picture of health status, point in time picture of health status is there. Obviously at a specific time we see what was the cause and what is the disease. Maybe we have not observed that in a time, in some specific time, in a couple of years, in 5 years, to see the agent, the causative agent, or the indicator, or the disease, or the problem, or the factor causing the disease. But still, it is a cross-sectional study, a specific in time, and the cause is there. Then is obviously the ecological studies. A group is studied in a geographical area, often studied by a geographical area, in a group, in a geographical area, or in a group, in a cluster. Maybe it is not representative of the whole of the community, or whole of the union council, or whole of the city, or whole of the society, or whole of the country, or whole of the world. So it may be a bias collection. 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 But still, ecological studies are most of all at the risk of creating a bias, because a group is selected, a population, a specific population is selected, a cluster or a village is selected, often studied by a geographical area. Obviously the time factor, quick, all carry the same, is very time. Of course, cost, inexpensive does not involve any laboratory investigation, does not involve any investigation, any follow-up, any X-ray chest, any other thing. So it may be inexpensive. Then obviously measure of the disease and frequency and risk factors. Obviously case reports, none. Case series, none. And of course cross-sectional studies, prevalence, association. We want to see the what is the prevalence of the association with the factor under study. And of course in ecological studies the correlation is to be developed. We develop ourselves what is the correlation between the disease and between the factors. So that is the comparative aspect of the case reports, case series, cross-sectional studies, and the ecological studies, or the, we can say, the summary of the descriptive studies. Next time we shall continue with analytical epidemiology, which actually is the basic study or the base of the type of the epidemiology. This ends up with the descriptive studies. We continue with the applied aspects of the epidemiology as far as the analytical epidemiology is concerned next time. Stay blessed. Goodbye.